There you are. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Sagittarius February 2023 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, clairvoyant. And if you might be interested or curious to see what's involved in having a one-on-one, face-to-face clairvoyant experience with me from anywhere in the world, just check out the information that's in the description box below. But have a look at the website anyway below, because I think you'll find some interesting information about clairvoyance and about astrology. If you're into that sort of thing, and I would imagine, because you're here, you probably are. Now, as the subscribers know, and much love and affection to the subscribers always, as the subscribers know, we don't have any video advertisements breaking their way into this video, and so you get to enjoy the experience uninterrupted. And the subscribers also know that we only need to take 5 cards, because they speak volumes to us, do they not? And they take up all of our time. There is the 7 of Cups, Sagittarius. There is the 10 of Cups. What's going on here? There is the King of Swords. What might be from deep within? I just cut my fingernails, you see, so I can't get in there. There's the 9 of Pentacles. Oh, that's good to see, isn't it? That King of Swords. What's he got to say to us? Find out in just a second. And finally, we want something. What, you look like you're sticking out. So you are whom? The High Priestess. Well, interesting. Now, why don't you come, as is our usual practice, sit down here next to me. We'll have a good close look at the imagery on these cards together while I do the reading for you. Now, there's only one major arcana here, so we should have a look at it first, and it is the High Priestess. Hello, High Priestess. Well, you know, you don't receive wisdom, you must discover it for yourself after a journey that no one can take for you or spare you from. Now, the High Priestess is a teacher and a guide. She has closed her eyes and seen the mysteries of the universe revealed before her. She will tell you that the key to understanding the world may only be found along the path that leads towards inner illumination. Yet, she is wise enough to know that you may not listen to her. Now, the High Priestess speaks only in truth, and for many, that truth is much more unbearable than the ignorance in which they dwell. To heed her advice is to see things for what they truly are, but often that clarity of vision exacts a heavy toll. Now, the High Priestess is really the channel for higher wisdom. Like the priests and priestesses of old, she sort of brings this wisdom down from above and makes it available to those for whom the connection is less clear. Her gifts are not for her alone, but in service of the greater good. She is sometimes seen as a feminine counterpart to the magician, as you may have heard, yet her concern is not so much manifesting in the physical world as he is, but it is playing with the magic of the invisible worlds. I love this High Priestess. She is interested in archetypes and in astrology and dreaming, and all sorts of ways the invisible world enters into your life. In these, she is accomplished. She is expert at opening herself to the higher realms and bringing this knowledge into the world. Now, this may take the form of prophecy or divination, the role of a sage or spiritual counselor. Now, aligned as she is with sacred purpose, her line to the divine is open, and her reception is clear. She is both High Priestess and follower, for she devotes herself to following the guidance and inspiration she receives and is therefore a model for living in accordance with intuitive wisdom. She may use this in her work as healer or teacher, artist or visionary, or she may simply be working with this in her personal life. It is important to her to pay attention and to live in a conscious way. For her to go on automatic or to push too hard is destructive because it cuts her off from her deeper knowing. The more closely she aligns with this knowing, the better her life goes. Now, I guess that in a more general way, this card represents the feminine mode of consciousness. It is the receptive, intuitive mind, what we might call moon consciousness. There isn't a lot of support for this in the modern world, though, is there? But that doesn't matter to her. She is unconcerned with the ways of people. Her loyalty is to universal laws that run much deeper. Now she brings you this month increased self-confidence, discovering your own truth, and an emotional stability. I think you'll have great access to your intuitive powers. The moon is very much associated with her, although I do call her the priestess of the silver star. She could also represent for you the beginning of a platonic friendship. That is one which doesn't involve romance. Now, she can help you find out secrets, or she can help you hold on to secrets. Now, there may well be a period of alone time for you to work out what it really is that you want and to let your mind process things. Now, you do understand, don't you, that changes on the inside are necessary to make changes on the outside? There's a need to connect and to be more confident with your intuitive feminine side. And if you're a man, don't worry about that. Each of the genders has a good helping of the other gender within it. And I think what this is talking about also for you, I think during this month of February, is that you should just go with the flow of life and keep things in balance. I think you might also be beginning a great creative cycle and becoming aware of intuition as a gift. In a sense, it's a time for discovering the oasis within. I think you now have access to your intuitive powers. Develop them more fully and guard your independence. Are there areas in your life in which you allow others to influence you rather than trusting your own intuition? I also think that this is important for some reason. Seek out water as often as you can and just sit down. Meditate if you can do that, or relax and let your mind wander when you are near water and learn from it as much as you can. And say this to yourself: I deeply honor and value the human being that I am. I am intuitive and perceptive. I trust myself and honor my sense of integrity. I trust my intuitive abilities. Now, we did spend some time on her because she's actually one of my favorite characters, and the energy there was so compelling. What's this one? You drew this first. Look, I think this wants to have a conversation with you. I don't think this actually is saying this is something that's going to happen, but I think it wants to raise something with you. Here in a flight of fancy, this woman goes above the stars itself. This is Venus ruling the third decan of Scorpio. Now, interestingly, I have associated with the number 7, the numerology, the planet of Venus as well. So there's a double Venus. There's Venus associated with the 7, and the astrology of the card for me, and the position that the card is in, is that of Venus in Scorpio. The third decan being the 13th to the, it'll be the 22nd of November. Well, Venus, as you know, is the planet of love and relationship and beauty. And Scorpio is about intensity, in-depth transformation, and exploration of the self and others. But with a double dose of Venus here, Venus doesn't have any brakes applied, and it launches into Scorpio unchecked. The issue is, though, that in astrology, Venus is in detriment in Scorpio, and so it can't express its sensitivity and emotions properly. Instead, they are channeled into, or there's a danger that they can be channeled into, negative addictions and intensity, which is the darker side of Scorpio. And it implies that you could possibly indulge in excess reactive behavior, like overeating or overdrinking, due to something that has affected you deeply and changed you in a way which throws up its own set of problematic issues, behaviors, and ways of looking at yourself in the world. In a sense, there is an illusory success here. I say illusory success. That's because this energy represents the working of Venus in the sphere of the mind, where her influence is by no means clear-sightedness. Look, you believe what you want to believe when you are under the influence of Venus. So there could be some annoyance around you at the time, overactivity. You maybe try to cover all the old wounds, but the diversionary tactic hasn't helped. After every binge, after every attempt at going away, the laughing face of your old problem rises all too clearly before your eyes and colors your experience of the situation gloomier and gloomier. I think what this is saying to you is that you need to step back and look to see who you really are and to reclaim the real you at this period. This is only a momentary thing, though. It's time to open your eyes and take a look at perhaps a painful reality, because only by perceiving, by recognizing your own inner reality will you be freed. And every further attempt to avoid it increases the stagnation of your emotional energy. But you obviously do get through it because you have tremendous things coming ahead with respect to emotions, with respect to finance, and with respect to that fine mind of yours. But perhaps you should ask yourself this: is there some disappointment you have not yet worked out? Have you experienced something that was just a little bit too good? Have you overtaxed yourself? Have you given too much of yourself away? Or have you overdone things in any way? And how can you change the situation that you find yourself in? These are the shadow aspects of you, and there's nothing wrong with that, because we all have shadows associated with us. We are not perfect, we're humans. But understand this and say this to yourself: as I recognize and accept my shadows, they lose their power over me. But you get things moving along quite nicely, I think. Here is the King of Swords. Well, in the face of his intense stare, lesser men will move away. I'm getting a lot of Taurus and a lot of Gemini around here. Why is that so? I think it's because you are going to have the energy of the mind in Gemini. Gemini is a very bright, changeable, mutable air sign. So you've got the energy of the mind in Gemini with the influence and the stability of the fixed sign of Earth being Taurus. And it's the first decan of Taurus, and so it's the most unpredictable in a way. So your mind is going to be moving. This is the Lord of the winds and breezes, this King of Swords. I think it is a man, although naturally these court cards can be of either gender, who is going to be, as you will be, active, clever, skillful, fierce and courageous, but maybe at times quite unreflective. And in fact, if you're not soaring intellectually, you might get lost in the dark clouds of the mind. Like a wind storm, there are forces of passion originating in your mind and seeking an object to direct them to. You will be goal-oriented, ambitious. You'll have very flexible intellectual powers as a result of that Gemini influence and a great degree of passion with you. Now that's just not only a passion for conducting life events, but a lot of passion when the light goes off. Well, actually, keep the light on. Now, there's also almost a great degree of force with you as well. Do you know his strong intellectual determination is really unified with a deep emotional perceptiveness? And you are going to share this because only goals which are emotionally charged will be able to set on fire your passion, but your body, intellect, and spirit, they will be in harmony, and they are going to fly along with you. Now, if it's somebody else that's in your life, that type of person is someone, I think, almost somebody that represents the idea of attack, of the violent power of motion applied. He is the wind, the storm, and his moral qualities are skill, subtlety, and cleverness. He is fierce, delicate, courageous, but altogether consumed by his current idea, which comes to him by way of inspiration, without kind of thinking about it, without giving it any considered thought. You, however, will be getting a clear insight into a problem and working quickly to set goals without letting anything getting into the way. Look, I think there's a great feeling of restlessness around here. Whether you are transitioning, where you're changing, whether you're trying to get somewhere else in your everyday life, or even if you're traveling. And in particular, though, for you now, it is a time to listen to the head rather than to the heart. Because I get the feeling that he is somebody who is more comfortable in his head rather than in expressing feelings. Yeah, restlessness in all aspects of life. Maybe you want to break free from the workplace. Now, you might also at this time come to hear of people who break up and then get back together again. Break up and then get back together again in a cycle of to and fro in that. In any event, you are really now in a good position to forge plans, to set goals, and to bring them into fruition. Do you even know what your goal is, though? State your goal in one sentence, and then have a small, bite-sized chain of objectives to get that goal. And what happens once you achieve it? And imagine how you will best be able to enjoy your success. Say to yourself, I know my goal and I know what I'm working towards. Each goal is just a milestone on the way to my ultimate destination. Now, where was that? Let's have a look at this 10 first, and then we'll do this card, which is talking about great, I think, where it is, financial gain, but we'll get to that in just a second. Let's have a look at this, because I like the painting on it. And here, the hawk itself pays homage to the tea ceremony. Well, it's inescapable that the card here, given that it's in this position with the High Priestess under it and directly opposite that 9, it means that it is Mars ruling the 3rd decan of Pisces, that 9th to the 19th of March. Now, Mars, as you might recall, is often a very aggressive planet. It's known as the fiery planet. It's also known as the lesser malefic in astrology, the great malefic being Saturn. And you might think that Mars is going to be disruptive and conflict with peaceful Pisces. But I don't get that feeling here. I get that because sitting above this high priestess, which is bringing a great degree of intuition and this mindset here, and it's coming across from this thing. So the difficulties that you had emotionally with this have been thought about and resolved with intuition, and with the result that you have satisfaction and fulfillment and a great degree of emotional satisfaction radiating from you. There's emotional stability here, possibly a family unit which is very happy. And I do see your dream becoming a reality, you know. There is also a great sense of fullness, as if there is a full cup. If you can imagine emotions being water and holding a cup underneath a faucet or a tap and turning it on, the emotions fill the cup until it's full, and then they spill over the side and they're wasted. That's the sense that I'm getting here. There's also a sense here that there's also a great deal of emotional passion and vitality. But we saw that before somewhere too, didn't we? I can't recall now, but the message was coming through of a great degree of passion, not only for your events happening in your lifestyle, but passion on the workbench as well, if I can put it like that. Now, there's also around here a fleeting sort of happiness, a happiness which is short-lived and which has lost its ability to fulfill you. Now, I think that's likely to be consumer goods. You may well, through the holiday period, have acquired or sought or purchased something that you thought was going to make you happy. But you get it, and then you get bored with it, and you want to move on to the next thing. Now, as far as relationships are concerned, it's almost as if there could be, and this is a might be, a loss of pleasure in what the relationship brings. And therefore, you either have to alter the dynamic of the relationship or move away from it. Now, when I say alter the dynamic of the relationship, when I spoke of that cup being filled with water before, the cup was full and there was no ability to add anything further to it. So in a sense, the thing had run to the end of its course. It could not go anything further. But if you alter the dynamic, if you make more space, if you change ways of doing things and communicating and to and fro between people with whom you do have relationships, you then create space for more emotion to flood in. And of course, if it's not possible, or if you don't get that back, that energy coming back, or that agreement coming back from these other people, then you might ask yourself whether you're happy to remain with the thing full as it is, but without anything further, or whether you want to move away from it. Now, I, of course, always want to try and give people the opportunity to add more to my life, as I hope I can add to other people's lives, and as I hope I add to your life by these readings as well. So I'd say that let things develop by themselves at the moment. Everything, you are so lucky because everything comes to you at just the right moment, doesn't it? But ask yourself this, what does this fullness that I'm getting here, what does it mean for you in the situation that you have in mind? And relax, close your eyes and breathe deeply and calmly. Let a picture arise in you which shows you in a state of complete fulfillment. And repeat this exercise often and connect this feeling more and more with your reality. And say this to yourself, because it is true. Life gives me all that I need to be happy. Now, where does that take us to? I think it takes us to this final card, which is the Nine of Pentacles. Well, this looks like the Leviathan has been awakened. Look, in this position that's down here and opposite the 10 of Cups and with the King of Swords in between here, do you know the astrology is that of Venus, ruling the second decan of Virgo, the 3rd to the 12th of September. Now, Venus, as you know, is concerned with love, and it's concerned with relationship, with beauty. But do you know what it's also concerned with? It's also concerned with money, with prosperity, and with business, getting things done in the material world that produce profit and revenue. Now, Venus is about love and money. Then I suppose you could say, well, these are expressions of your values, pleasures, and tastes, aren't they? And Venus is saying that if your heart is pure and you follow your heart, your life can only gain from this, and good fortune is going to attend your material affairs. Now, this is Venus in Virgo, so there's growth, gain. There are good love bonds here. There's a wisdom and creativity with you, and you understand the great golden rule that the more you give, the more you receive. I see reward for your efforts and realizing your goals. The groundwork is underway now for eventual financial and personal independence, as well as material security and self-sufficiency. Projects, situations, and relationships, they're all going to come together and produce a material gain. You are going to start moving ahead. Now, this isn't wealth, but what's going to happen is you're going to look back in 12 months' time at this period of the year and say, do you know what? He was right. My life is much better today than it used to be. But one of the highest tasks in life, that life sets for you really, is to realize yourself. Now, this happens in carrying out the special tasks that have been assigned to you. Retreat by the soul, retreating from your soul task out of fear or a desire to remain comfortable, means denying yourself. Gain comes from giving willingly and lovingly. Giving in this sense also means giving yourself to the universe, or, as you would say, well, God has got such baggage associated with it, but giving yourself fully to life and to source. Now, the cosmic law of wealth will thereby be fulfilled. The more you give, the more you receive. If your love and creativity are filled with love, you'll gain from all situations in life. The more deeply you are engaged, the more comprehensive your insights will be. Do you know what is the highest goal in your life? And check carefully whether that which you call gain is in full harmony with your ultimate goal. And say this, everything that happens today serves my growth. The more I give, the more I receive. What a fantastic spread.
Gee, that was very, very interesting, I thought. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed providing it to you. And some great things happening for you this month, some great things. And don't you deserve it? Now, of course, until I see you again, remember one thing and one thing only, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.